Coming face to face with immigration and customs enforcement, ICE, can be an incredibly stressful moment. But knowing your rights, that's your most powerful tool. So we're going to walk through exactly what those constitutional protections are, what to do, and what to say in different situations. Let's dive in.
First things first, and this is the most important thing to get straight. The U.S. Constitution protects everyone living in the United States. It doesn't matter what your immigration or citizenship status is. This isn't just some nice idea, it's the actual bedrock of the law, and it's the foundation for everything we're about to talk about.
So, where do these rights actually come from? Well, they really boil down to two key amendments. You've got the Fourth Amendment, which protects you from unreasonable searches, and the Fifth Amendment, which gives you the right to remain silent. Think of these two as your shield. Let's see how they work in the real world. All right, let's start with the place where your legal protections are the absolute strongest, your home. The law is very clear on this. You have what's called the highest reasonable expectation of privacy right where you live.
So picture this. You hear a knock, you look through the peephole, and you see ICE agents standing outside your door. Now, your first gut reaction might be to just open it. But hold on. The most important thing you can possibly do in that moment is to know the right steps before that door ever opens.
So here it is, the number one rule. Keep the door closed. Don't open it, not even a crack. You can talk to them right through the door. First, ask them why they're there. And then, if they tell you they have a warrant, you need to ask them to show it to you. Tell them to slide it under the door or just hold it up to a window so you can see it clearly. Okay, so this brings us to a really critical point. An agent saying we have a warrant isn't the end of the story, because it matters a lot what kind of warrant it is. The difference between the two is everything.
And here's the deal. There are two types. A judicial warrant is the one that matters. It's signed by a judge, and it gives agents the legal right to enter your home. But a lot of the time, ICE agents might have what's called an administrative warrant. And that's basically just an internal document signed by another ICE official. It does not, I repeat, does not, give them permission to come inside without your consent.
So when they hold that paper up to the window, here's what you're looking for. Does it have a judge's signature? And does it have the name of a court at the top? Something like U.S. District Court. Also, you'll want to make sure it has your correct address and that the date is current. If you don't see those things, it's not a judicial warrant, and you don't have to open your door.
And if they can't show you a valid judicial warrant, you just say this one simple phrase through the closed door, calmly and clearly, "I do not consent to your entry." That's all you have to say. You've just officially used your Fourth Amendment rights. Okay, so that covers your home. But what about your job? Let's move to our next scenario. What happens if ICE agents show up at your workplace? Here, your rights can really depend on where in the building you are. Think of it like this. Any part of the business that's open to the public, like the dining room in a restaurant or the front lobby, well, that's open to ICE too. They don't need a warrant for that. But private areas, the places customers can't go, like the kitchen, a stockroom, or a workshop, that's a different story. To get in there, they need that judicial warrant or permission from your employer. Now, if ICE does approach you at work, you got to remember these things. First, and this is huge, stay calm. Do not run. Running can give them a reason to arrest you. You have the right to remain silent. You don't have to answer questions about where you were born or anything about your immigration status. And, this is critical, never lie or show them fake documents. That's a whole separate crime. All right, on to our third scenario. What happens if you're just out in public? On the street, in a park, or maybe you get pulled over in your car. In these situations, your expectation of privacy is a little lower, but your rights still absolutely apply. So if you're stopped in public, here's your game plan. The very first thing you do is ask a question calmly. You say, "Am I being detained?" or "Am I free to leave?" This question is everything. If they say yes, you're free to leave, then you just walk away, calmly, no fuss. But if they say no, you're not free to leave, that means you're being detained. And that's when you use your right to be silent. And this is the phrase you use. You state it clearly. I choose to remain silent. You don't have to be aggressive about it, but you do need to be firm. Just remember, literally anything you say can be used against you, so the safest bet is to just say nothing at all.
Look, in a high-stress moment like that, it's totally normal for your mind to go blank. It can be hard to remember the exact right words. And that's where something like a red card or a Know Your Rights card can be a lifesaver. A bunch of civil rights groups make these, and you can just keep one in your wallet.
These cards basically do the talking for you. You just hand it to the agent. They usually say something like, "I do not wish to speak with you. I do not give you permission to search my belongings. I choose to exercise my constitutional rights." It's a really simple but incredibly powerful tool to have on you.
So we've gone through a lot of different situations, right? Home, work, out in public. But it all really boils down to a few core rules that work every single time. If you only take away a handful of things from this, make it these.
It all comes down to these 4 things. Rule 1, remain silent. It's your right. Rule 2, do not consent to a search. You have to say the words out loud, I do not consent. Rule 3, don't open your door unless they can show you a warrant signed by a judge. And Rule 4, never ever lie or show fake documents. That's it. That's your playbook.
And hey, one last and very important right to remember. Under the First Amendment, you are allowed to film or take pictures of law enforcement, and that includes ICE agents when they're on duty in a public place. The only catch is you can't interfere with what they're doing. Recording could be a really powerful way to ensure accountability.
So we've seen that the Constitution gives you some really powerful protections, and knowing your rights is absolutely step 1. But asserting them, well, that does more than just protect you in the moment. It helps hold the entire system accountable. Which really leaves us with one last thought. When you stand up for your own rights, you're really standing up for everyone's rights.